Have you ever looked at a company and wondered, how do they do it? How do they consistently come up with game-changing ideas, while other companies, full of really smart people, just don't? Well, the secret is usually right there at the very beginning. So today, we're explaining the single most important piece of the puzzle for successful innovation, defining your intent.
It's a really frustrating thing for so many organizations, isn't it? You've got brilliant people, big dreams, but for some reason, the most exciting projects just fizzle out. So what's going wrong? Well, a lot of the time, the problem isn't the idea itself. It's the lack of a clear, unified starting point.
And the answer is actually pretty simple. They're missing a clear innovation intent. Think of it as a strategic compass for your company. Without one, you're basically just wandering around in the dark, hoping you stumble onto something amazing. But with one, you've got purpose, you've got direction, and you've got a real shot at success.
Yeah, without that defined intent, innovation just turns into chaos. You end up wasting money and resources, your teams get burned out, and great ideas just wither away. It's kind of like trying to build a skyscraper without a blueprint. It's just a recipe for disaster.
Okay, so let's get practical. The very first step before you even think about a project is to figure out your reasons for innovating in the first place. You've got to understand where your company is right now and where you want it to go, so you know exactly why, when, and where to focus your energy. So to build this intent, there are three core things we need to do. First, we're going to define a compelling case for change. Second, we have to quantify the growth gap. And third, we'll set the innovation portfolio. Let's break down each one. All right, let's start with creating your case for change. Now, this is not just a boring mission statement. This is a powerful story that answers the most important question. Why does our company need to innovate, and why right now? It's all about creating a purpose that people can actually get behind. A really strong case for change points to specific drivers. Maybe it's a new competitor, an ambitious CEO, or a huge shift in the market, and it connects them directly to clear strategic goals. It makes the need to innovate totally undeniable. Google is a perfect example of this. When ChatGPT came out, the CEO, Sundar Pichai, declared a code red. This wasn't just some memo that got passed around. It was a massive call to action that got 80,000 employees to pivot to AI in less than 2 months. That's what a clear case for change can do. And here's another great example. DBS Bank in Singapore wanted to stop acting like a bank and start acting like a tech company. So to get everyone on the same page, they came up with this awesome mnemonic, Gandalf. It stood for all the tech giants they wanted to be like, with the D proudly standing for DBS. Simple, catchy, and it worked like a charm. And that Gandalf mindset led them to a whole new vision: make banking joyful. By shifting their focus to the customer experience, making everything seamless, they actually turned themselves from just a bank into a world-class tech company. So what can we learn from all this? First, create urgency. Frame a clear threat and then put your money where your mouth is by allocating resources, just like Google did. And second, set a really simple, powerful challenge and use something catchy like a mnemonic to get everybody excited, like DBS did. All right, on to our second activity, calculating your growth gap. Once you've made that emotional case for why things need to change, it's time to make the logical one. This is where we put a real number on your ambition. So what is the growth gap? Well, it's the difference between where your business is probably headed, if you just keep doing what you're doing, and where your big goals say it needs to be. If you don't change anything, that gap is all the money you're leaving on the table. It's the space that innovation has to fill. This chart shows it perfectly. See? You've got your projected growth on one side and your strategic target way up here on the other. That big space in between, that's your growth gap. Suddenly, an abstract idea becomes a tangible, measurable target for everyone to aim at. Which brings us to our third and final activity, setting up your innovation portfolio. Now that you know why you need to innovate and how much you need to grow, you've got to decide how you're going to get it done. What kind of innovator is your company going to be? Generally, companies fall into one of three buckets. You can be an imitator, a transformer, or a pathfinder. And each one has a totally different strategy for closing that growth gap we just talked about. This table breaks it down really nicely. Imitators, they focus on making low-cost copies for markets that already exist. Transformers, they take existing products and find creative ways to make them better. And pathfinders, well, they're out there inventing totally new products and creating new markets from scratch. Let's look at a few examples. Zara is the textbook imitator. Their whole genius isn't about inventing fashion. It's about being incredibly fast at copying popular styles and getting them to customers for a good price. Their whole game is speed and adaptation.
Then you have a master transformer like Xiaomi. They look at what's already successful, they figure out what people love, and then they add their own spin to it, often at a better price. They don't just copy, they creatively improve.
And of course, there's the Pathfinder, like Tesla. They're not just making better cars. They're inventing entirely new technologies for batteries, for charging, for energy. They are literally creating new markets and showing us what's possible.
So here's the most important thing to remember. These three activities, the case for change, the growth gap, and the innovation portfolio, they are not separate things. They all have to work together to build one single, powerful innovation intent. This becomes the rock-solid foundation for any breakthrough you want to achieve.
So let's just recap really quickly. To define your innovation intent, you need three things: a compelling story for why you have to change, a hard number that defines how much you need to grow, and a clear strategy for how you're going to innovate to make it happen. So there you have it. The framework is clear. The examples are powerful. Now it's your turn. Your journey starts right now. Take a look at your own organization and ask that first crucial question. What is your case for change?